people are unaware of what will soon be available for purchase. Hi there, lovely individuals. Greetings, Peepo Coin Channel. I'm going to show you a Tom Lee clip, received a video from the president. Trump will discuss the first strategic Bitcoin reserve in a U.S. state as well as history. Furthermore, the market is perplexed by what the Treasury Secretary just said. Hi there, lovely individuals. Shalom. Let's start, Peepo Coin. Please give me a lovely grin so that I can radiate those positive energy waves. Let's get started, Smishity. Hit the like button. There is a slight market sell-off going on right now. XRP is currently at $2.12. We barely have 24 hours left until the Fed makes its decision, which is why we witnessed a slight sell-off this morning due to what's happening tomorrow. Will interest rates be lowered? Will interest rates increase as a result? Rumors have been circulating that the Fed may be initiating quantitative easing. I'm not positive if this is accurate. We'll set it aside for a moment, but it's possible that quantitative easing has already begun beneath the table, and that it was one of the things that prevented the stock market from completely collapsing and allowed it to erase the majority of the losses that occurred in April. Since many people are waiting for the Fed to lower interest rates going forward, and for quantitative easing, I believe the market will be extremely happy if the Fed announces tomorrow that they have already begun this and will not lower interest rates. We also discussed how it appears like altcoin season won't begin until Bitcoin dominance reaches roughly 70, which it continued to achieve today. Therefore, Bitcoin's dominance is at its highest level since March 2021, the year when it peaked. Thus, it is at 65%. We discussed the possibility of it reaching 70. And it will be fascinating to observe in the days ahead. As you can see, Bitcoin is either flat or slightly higher today, and we'll have to wait and watch how this develops. President Trump informed us that India had consented to remove all tariffs on U.S. imports. Let's listen to it. It has one of the highest tariffs in the world, for instance. We will not tolerate it. They have already decided to abandon it. They will let it fall to nothing. They've already given their consent. If it hadn't been for me, they wouldn't have done that. We will thus list certain figures and state that our nation is open to commerce and that they are welcome to enter and make payments in India, for instance. Correct. Then we had that. But on the other hand, Treasury Secretary Besant stated that the United States has not held any trade talks with China. Really significant trading connections. Currently, we are in negotiations with 17 of those commercial partners. We have not yet entered into negotiations with China. Therefore, they're working to bring China to the table, but that hasn't happened yet. It will be fascinating to observe what they do as we move forward, and the 90-day pause's duration gets shorter. Do they get more hostile? Do they make an effort to speak with them? Additionally, he stated that he would not accept the Fed's use of a digital currency issued by a central bank, since it is a sign of weakness. In contrast to the EU, which wants to encourage this and has an October deadline, the US does not have a central bank currency. Yes, stablecoins that are issued by businesses, like the RLUSD. Naturally, we have the Genius Act and the Stablecoin Act. Additionally, I've read and heard that some pro-crypto Democrats are currently causing some issues. We'll see whether it can pass, and then we'll have such measures that will support the cryptocurrency industry in the future. We also witnessed history when New Hampshire became the first state in the U.S. to enact legislation establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve, allowing the treasurer to buy the greatest asset in the world directly or through an ETP. As you can see, it achieved a historic victory based on Satoshi's action model policy, which served as the country's blueprint. This means that it failed in another state, which I believe was Florida, among others. New Hampshire did, however, pass. Therefore, it will be interesting to observe how many states and nations in the future truly pass these strategic reserves. Correct. In the United States, New Hampshire is a tiny country state. However, this may be really intriguing for other possible nations across the world who might want to enter a Bitcoin reserve in the future if you have a state like Texas, or a large state with millions and millions of residents. However, Emma Reynolds of the UK Treasury tells us that the National Crypto Reserve is not a good fit for us. To address digital asset cooperation with the US, the UK did, however, Notify a working group at the senior official level. As you can see from New Hampshire's response, the US appears to be heading in that direction as a nation. But the UK, for instance, is number 2 on the channel's viewership list after the US. Therefore, you won't have a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the UK for the time being, friends. We'll see in the future. Does the United Kingdom have a Treasury Secretary or Treasury? I don't know, isn't it? I'm not. Please let me know in the comments. Because you have an English Prime Minister, don't you? Here in the UK, you have I don't want to delve into it, but there is a first. I simply became momentarily perplexed. Ignore it. Time of technical difficulty. My brain just said, it crashed. Therefore, it will be interesting to watch how many nations may do this in the future. We have Tom Lee discussing the present state of Bitcoin. Let's listen to him on CNBC. We'll grab Tom so we can have a good look at him after I get to the other side. Let's get started. An increase in inflation. At the fastest rate ever, they managed to survive the Fed hike. This tariff shock, in my opinion, is alarming. Earnings will most likely surpass projections, in my opinion. That would be one thing, I suppose. Then, I believe that the things that were dragging us down, like Bitcoin, Tesla, or the Mag 7, have started to get better. As you are aware, Bitcoin has risen over its level on April 2nd. In my opinion, Bitcoin is indicating that the S&P should soon bounce back to the 5,800 mark. And from here, there is yet hope. Yes, you were right when you said that it will eventually catch up to gold. It is behind schedule. What about some of your accurate or wise predictions regarding Bitcoin? An increase in inflation. As you can see, Thomas is telling us that Bitcoin is a sign that the markets will rebound and that many things will be decided tomorrow. I imagine that people will say things like, "Oh, it's already 4 years," in the comment area. Listen, the market is always moving and things happen. It rises. If you purchased Bitcoin 4 years ago, correct? Not when it was so high, even though it was up considerable, isn't that right? You are still in your current position if you purchased 4 years ago, even if you were present at 62,000. Naturally, your positions have increased dramatically if you purchased at 15,000. You would be nearly 500% more successful in your roles. If you purchased XRP in October or September of 2023, your positions would still be up about 405 to 35%. Markets are constantly shifting and things are constantly happening, aren't they? Additionally, things shift and change. And I keep noticing that folks are losing it a little bit in the comment part, so it's really essential to keep that in mind. They're becoming a little more at ease and saying things that they might not have said a few weeks or months ago when XRP and Bitcoin were both rising. Now that we've experienced a slight pullback, consolidation, or downtrend, people are suddenly becoming a little more aggressive, and it's acceptable. It's okay, but you must realize that everything depends on your investment and that things always happen. You're down if you invested during the cycle's peak. When we hit these notes, you'll be up big if you invest, at the bottom of the cycle or when everyone is panicking and afraid. Therefore, it's crucial to keep in mind that there will always be ups and downs, as those who have been following me for a long time are aware.